I do. I feel like I don't know. I'm worried. Welcome back, Dan. The man is back. Should we be excited or should we be afraid? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. I keep going back and forth on how I feel about it, but I really don't know. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Dan Schneider. Dan Schneider is a man. Who is this man? This man is an American television producer, screenwriter, and actor who, after appearing in mostly supporting roles in a number of 80s and 90s films and TV shows, became co-president of a production. Look, the point is he was at Nickelodeon. He was at Nickelodeon, probably the biggest producer there, responsible for pretty much everything Nickelodeon was known for in the 90s and early 2000s, including The Amanda Show, Drake and Josh, Zoey, 101, iCarly, Victoria's Salmon Cat, Henry Danger, Game Shakers. He also helped create All That and Good Burger for those of us who are a little older. Actually, you can see him. I pulled up a clip here. There's Dan Schneider, you might remember from the classic movie Good Burger. Big man. Back in business. All right. So that's Dan Schneider. So why does this matter? Well, for two reasons. One of which is Dan Schneider, the king of children's television, who made Nickelodeon countless millions of dollars, made himself millions of dollars, is coming back to apparently try and re-enter the world of television. Let's zoom in there. As you can see, he's lost some weight. Good for you, Dan. Took some time to yourself. But here's the thing about this. Dan Schneider left Nickelodeon. Did not leave Nickelodeon. Sorry, let me correct myself. Was pushed out of Nickelodeon in, I believe, 2008. Maybe a little bit later. I'm not sure. I'd have to find the year. And we never knew why he left. And it's starting to come out why he left. People have speculated for a number of years, and some of that speculation has focused on some quite sinister allegations, which we will get into. But before we get right into all that, please don't forget to subscribe. Like the video. Subscribe for all the great Nickelodeon news that's coming out. We got lots of good stuff coming your way. All right, let's get into this. So Dan Schneider once reigned over children's TV. What happened? Now, this is a big profile in the New York Times. The New York Times, big outlet. This is a big deal. And it's generated some controversy because Dan Schneider is a controversial guy. On Twitter, I'm seeing some people who used to work for him saying he was a terrible boss. He was very angry, very abusive, yelling, and we'll get into some of that. And of course, there is a certain bit of allegations that have always been out there. We've never had any sort of firm proof. But to speak lightly, Dan Schneider works in a children's industry. What's the worst thing you could do with a child? A little touchy. Let's put it that way. Again, there's no firm allegations, but there is a weird little whisper network. Maybe this guy did something wrong. We don't know. So let's take a look at this article real quick to see where they're coming from. Dan Schneider was on top of the world at the 2014 Kids' Choice Awards. Here are all the stars that Dan Schneider has helped create. I mean, this guy created Amanda Bynes, Drake and Josh. All these famous kid stars really do kind of owe their careers to Schneider. He's kind of the guy who got them there. But just 4 years later, so it was 2018. Okay, it was not nearly as long ago as I thought. It was 2018. They announced their separation. I thought 2008. I guess it was 2018. So he's been gone, and this was after Nickelodeon had, I believe, canceled one of his shows. He was very upset about that. So there was speculation, well, maybe it's just a falling out, creative differences. His shows aren't producing anymore. Who knows? Who knows? We didn't know. But he basically went silent, and that did not help shed any information on the situation. We did not know why he got dropped because this guy, as they say, he used to be on Twitter all the time. He just stopped talking. We have not heard from Dan in almost 3-4 years now. But now Schneider, in the first major interview since the split, wants to comment on the investigation because Viacom did investigate Schneider to see whether he had done anything wrong, and Viacom found that alongside many coworkers who praised his attention to detail and work ethic, there were many people he worked with who saw him as verbally abusive. And Schneider admits to this. So it's complicated. If a guy was a big jerk 3 years ago, but to be fair, as he says, I mean, I was working on 50 shows a year. I mean, this guy was managing so many shows. I can understand being under a lot of stress. They put you a lot of stress when you're the head producer. Now, does that give you an excuse to yell at your employees or whatever else? No. But I can understand that maybe people don't understand the pressure he was under, and if he flew off the handle a couple times, okay, he's still a moneymaker. You put a guy under a lot of pressure and he makes you $50 million, you kind of got to give him some leeway. But obviously the staff who he yelled at, they don't feel the same way, and I don't blame them. But here's the other part, and this is the part that people are probably more concerned about. These are very, very troublesome accusations. Our internet chatter that trafficked, this was internet chatter about Dan that was appearing, talking about innuendo about the appropriateness of Schneider's presence in the world of children's entertainment. Online dozens post compilations that stitch together scenes from Schneider's shows, videos taken on set, and pictures of him with child actors, raising questions about his behavior with these young people. Okay, so there's two ways of looking at this. One, why is a grown man taking all these pictures of himself with child stars or whatever else? The other way of looking at it is, well, that's his job. He's the highest paid guy in this children's television industry or whatever. The kids are around. They work directly under them. He's writing the scripts for them. So there's he's going to take some pictures with them. But are they going beyond the pale? Like, is he getting a little too touchy? Is he putting a hand on the back? Is he putting a hand where it shouldn't be? Some people have said yes. The other big thing that people have said is that there are a lot of shots, a lot of scenes, a lot of portions of the shows where you see feet. And this has led people to suggest that Dan Schneider has a foot fetish. Now, I'm going to go on over, blame it on Jorge, not sure. But this guy has put together a 20-minute thing. This is from 2018 when he was let go. And at first I was skeptical. Because I'm a guy, I've written comedy. And especially if you're going to write comedy for kids, let's be real, you're a little bit limited. You can't swear. You can't really make sexual jokes. Okay, and a lot of what works for children's entertainment, and we know this, is kind of this gross-out humor. Farting, belching, things that smell. It's very childish. Sorry, the fireworks are going off and my cats are freaking out. But you have this kind of childish, gross-out humor is a big part of Nickelodeon. I think we actually will remember that at one point Nickelodeon's logo was a foot. That was a thing that they did. So you have to go, well, is this Dan Schneider has a thing for young female feet? Or is this Dan's a guy who's writing comedy for children? There's things that kids like. Again, gross out humor is we all know this, is very popular with children and always has been. I mean, look now with the poop emoji and I think they have a new toy. It's a unicorn that poops. Like, kids are into that stuff. I don't know why. As a kid, I always thought it was too much. I was grossed out by it, but kids are into that stuff. But real quick, I'll play some of this. This idea that Dan Schneider is focusing too much on people's feet. So here's a couple shots from a couple of the shows. I mean, something like that doesn't seem over the top. Where it starts to get a little bit weird is that, I guess you could say, yes, squirting ketchup on someone's toes. I don't know. I'm still like, yeah, to me, I understand there are probably some perverts out there who are like, yeah, look at that. I know that those videos exist. I can't know if this comes out of a desire to... I don't know. But here's where it gets a little bit more worrisome. That's the problem, is like when you stack it in isolation, maybe you're watching the show and you see one shot and you go, oh, I can't think about that. But when you're seeing more and more of it, you do start to question it. Here's a quote from the official Twitter website, Twitter account of one of his shows, Sam and Cat, saying, "Tomorrow is the show. Please write on the bottom of your foot. Take a picture, and we'll retweet them until our fingers get sore." So this is asking young people to take pictures of their feet. In a different era, I don't think we would question this. If this was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you'd be like, oh, well, that's funny. It's a funny thing. Unfortunately, the internet has made us aware that there are people out there who probably want to see the feet of children. So does that make it? Let's assume there was completely innocent intentions here, that someone really did just post that because they thought it was funny. Is that still not above the bar? Is this still unreasonable? Should you, as a person, say no? You can't, take pictures of kids' feet because someone might jerk off to them. I don't know. Oh, I mean, and then the other question is, but was it on purpose? Was this Dan Schneider telling the Twitter account, "Hey, I got a great idea. Go tell young girls to send us pictures of their feet"? Now, here's where the allegations get really troublesome. And what I want to specify here is I don't want to bury this guy because I have no firm proof. I'm not going to be one of there's a lot of guys out there who are going to tell you, I know for a fact that Dan Schneider did X or Y. I know for a fact this guy did this. I don't know. There is evidence suggesting it's possible. But the evidence to me it has not been completely firm. Because the problem is a lot of these allegations are coming from anonymous sources. Now, what would be great in terms of trying to get behind this is, again, here he is on stage with all the child actors that he's worked with over the years. If one of them came out, if you had somebody like an Amanda Bynes come out or something and say, Dan Schneider did this to me, well, yeah, I'm inclined to believe. Then, okay, you got a real name making a real accusation. The problem is the accusations we have are anonymous. I have no idea who this is. There was today I learned on Reddit. I learned about Dan Schneider, whatever. They're talking about Dan Schneider. Somebody comes in and goes, I grew up in L.A. I was an extra on the Amanda show a few times. He paid me $100 to tickle my feet. Now, this was posted, let's see. This post was submitted in March 2013. Wow, I would need to, is this actually a 2013 post? Because here's the thing. If this had come after the allegations against Dan, I would say, well, that's probably just somebody who heard, or it's potentially somebody who heard about it. They know that there's these rumors going around that Dan has a foot fetish, and it would be fun to kind of screw around and make a fake account. But it's saying here, this post was submitted on the 6th of March, 2013, which is 5 years before these allegations really started coming out. That's a bit of a smoking gun. Again, I wish I knew who this person was, and maybe they're worried they don't want to get sued or something. But to make a weird story short, in between takes, Dan asked me if I was ticklish. I said no. He bet me $100 he could make me ticklish. I don't like this story. I was expecting him to reach over and tickle me under my arm, but he led me to his office. I got paid to receive a foot massage and a lot of compliments. And I don't know if you can see this, but these comments were deleted, but you can still see them. Reddit never fully deletes things. Whew. I didn't realize that was from 2013. That is, it's not good. But again, I still have to say, I want an accuser to come out with a name. Like, I want to put a face to one of these things. Here's a big one, Revenge of the Sis. I think I like these guys. I don't know if these guys like me. They got someone to call in. I don't know if no, this is a different girl because she's not telling the same story. I don't know. It sounds legit. She doesn't sound like she's making it up. She's not laughing in the background. Let's play this.
YouTube channel known as Revenge of the Sis have done a number of videos about Dan Schneider, and during one of their podcasts, they received a call from an anonymous source stating that she went to an audition for one of Dan Schneider's shows. The call was...
Now, I will say it's a little concerning that they were already talking about Dan Schneider, so it's possible someone who listens to the listen to the show was like, oh, these guys think he's doing X and X. Well, then I can come up with a story and call in. It would be more believable if they had called in completely unprompted. But to be fair, she does sound kind of believable.
So for time's sake, I'll be playing a portion of what she had to say. The full podcast will be available below.
So in 1997, I was discovered in a mall, and basically we would go on auditions just to different places, and eventually I got a manager and an agent who would send me on audition calls for, like little things like commercials and everything. And then as I started growing in my career, in 2007, my agent contacted me and my family about possibly getting a good Nickelodeon gig. And we flew out to LA for this audition. And when we got there, it was a bunch of kids, probably like 200 kids. And then these random agents hand-selected specific kids that they liked or, you know, showed some charisma. And then once about 40 kids were selected, we were then told to take off our shoes and that we were each going to go into a room to show the producer, who is Dan Schneider, the tapes to see who we would want on the show. And of course, you know, we always ask, like, oh, what do we have to do? Like, what would you like us to be doing once we're in there? And my agent told me, he's like, it's going to be like he's like, you got to just take off your shoes, just like run around in front of the camera, you know, talk about how much you love being barefoot. And at the time, even, you know, it was like, okay, that's weird.
That's weird. So, here's part of the problem. It's very weird. It's very weird. It's very weird. Now, the fact that 40 kids got selected to do this, I really hope that if they're out there, more of them will come forward and talk about, yeah, Dan Schneider was there. We went into a room. We took off our feet. We told him how much we love being barefoot. Like, I want more than this one anonymous account. But I got to say, I mean, unless this person is trolling, it is so weird. Now, again, and I'm torn because I'm like, well, again, maybe he just thinks it's funny. But it's getting to the point where it's like, yeah, but you can have kids show you they can act without taking their feet off and talking about how much they like not wearing shoes. Oh, here we go. She says even her mom knew there was something weird.
This is wrong.
Mom said this is wrong.
There's just something really wrong about this.
Yeah.
Because this person's mother...
It's very bizarre. Then other girls came forward and said that they had these camps where the girls, were maybe going to get discovered, and they were getting told, get in the pool, put on a swimsuit. All these young girls, that's where Hilary Duff and Megan Fox supposedly got discovered at one of these pool parties with young girls. Again, I these are not allegations coming from a name, and that's part of the problem. This is a big one. Here's a big allegation, because this is coming from, who is this coming from? Who wrote this
In an
story?
article by Kira Davis from Red States.
Kira Davis from Red States. I want to see, who is Kira Davis? Red States. Kira A. Devers, Red State at Town Hall Media. Can you tell me what is Red State? Okay, I'm not, do I believe this site? Okay, well, I will say Red State, yeah, I don't know if I can trust this source. This seems like a very, very right-wing source that is, as you might have noticed, the right very much likes this narrative that Hollywood is overrun with predators, which there are predators, but sometimes they go a little far in who they're accusing. So, unfortunately, this is not coming from the most reputable place. I thought maybe this was an independent outlet, but apparently it is a right-wing outlet. And again, I'm not discounting it entirely. It's just it would be nice if it was coming from a place that was had a bit less of a political bias. But still, we're going to play it.
She writes, I happened to be chatting with a former child actor over a week ago. We were discussing Weinstein, and she told me that in her youth, she worked on one of Schneider's shows very briefly. She told me, my friend was molested by that man on set. Everyone knew it. No one said a word.
I mean, that's a big allegation. I'm sad you couldn't get your friend to go on the record, But to be fair, people can be worried that they're going to get sued, that they're going to get blacklisted for coming out about this stuff. There's a lot going on. Dan was friends with a guy who worked at Nickelodeon, who was eventually convicted of child molestation. I wasn't sure exactly how. I would need to rewatch this. Apparently, they did have some sort of 2-week comedy boot camp that Schneider held with the help of a team, including Brian Peck. Well, if the whole team's there, I can't say that, well, Schneider and Peck were at the same thing with kids. That means Schneider definitely does stuff to kids. I mean, it's very possible he just worked with a guy who ended up being a horrible, awful predator. I'm not going to bury a guy because he used to work with a guy who did a thing. That's not definitive enough for me. But there's a lot of weird stuff here. It's very weird. I would recommend going through this video if you want to take a look at some of this. No celebrity has spoken out, as they admit.
And the ones who did have kept their identities private
Yes.
or are anonymous. So, for all we know, they could be lying. The closest comes to us from Noah Monk, the actor who played Gibby on iCarly, from the official podcast. But even he was hesitant on defending Dan.
I was sort of, I mean, if that shit went on, I'm fucking like, that's devastating to me because I don't see him in that light, you know? So watching clips on YouTube and shit of that is like crazy. But I mean,
yeah, see, that doesn't bury Dan. That's him saying, yeah, I mean, he's on the same side of us. It's a little weird that there's a lot of this foot stuff. But it is, I mean, again, I think if something happened, somebody needs to come out who is connected to Dan and has a name. I don't know why these girls, if anything happened to them, they should come out and say it. You know, or it doesn't even have to be necessarily people who are on the shows. I mean, you're saying here there were 40 kids who Dan told him to show his feet and got weird, and they taped them, you know, taking their foot off or their shoes off. I would hope that some of those people would come forward. So as is, where are we at with Dan Schneider? Dan Schneider, apparently, he's making a comeback, and he claims, let's see, real quick. I do want to give Dan Schneider a chance to defend himself, because we did just go through a lot of stuff that was very seemingly damning, but he does have explanations for a lot of this stuff. From some people who were on Snyder's shows, they said they saw his chumminess with young actors as awkward and odd for a powerful middle-aged showrunner. He often spent his time during the workday interacting with young fans and after work texting child actors about teenage internet life. Again, I go two ways on this. Should this guy be interacting with kids? I don't run kids shows. I'm not writing for Nickelodeon. I don't know how often you have to be in touch with these kids. What is he texting to them? Is he saying, hey, do you think these jokes are going to be funny? Or is he saying, hey, what are you wearing? Those are two very different things to be texting the kids who work for you. Former crew members recall that one character had a locker on the set of Victorious decorated with photos of young men, alongside words like "Doodalicious" and "Who's hot." One of the photos was a headshot of a young Dan Schneider. That one I have to dismiss. That's a dumb joke. That's not dance. How is that damaging to any young girl? You know, you took a picture. Oh, look, I used to be hot when I was a kid. I don't buy that at all. That makes no sense. He says, though, as for interacting with fans online, he only did so in very public ways that were fully transparent to his colleagues. I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, if he's tweeting public tweets, if he said anything inappropriate, you'd see it immediately. If he was direct messaging girls, sure, but we have no information on that. And then he says, among the teenage actors on his show, texting was the preferred method of communication. Well, I mean, there you go. And did he comment on the feet stuff? Schneider says he's aware of these postings, things like this video. He describes it as ridiculous. Kids find feet goofy and funny. There was no effort to sexualize his young stars. They did say they did a review. This was Viacom did a review. Take that with a grain of salt. Who knows? But I've actually seen that sometimes these media companies do these interviews. I mean, they're looking for something. They really do want to be on the up and up. Everybody always says, "Oh no, they protect their own." No, sometimes these reviews come out and they find issues. The review found no evidence of sexual misconduct, but it did say he could be verbally abusive. So Dan Schneider, he's on his way back. Let's see. His new show is aimed at more of an adult audience. He has an ambitious, very different pilot that he has written and sold to another network, and he bears no ill will towards Nickelodeon. So we have a guy. There's some very weird stuff around him. There's some very weird stuff around him. And he's trying to come back. Here's how I feel about this, though. I feel like if this guy knows he did something wrong, this is just speculation. I think if Dan knows he did something wrong, something sexual, something that they can get him on, that he would not come back. I don't think he would be that stupid. I think if you know you've gotten away with sexual behavior towards children, you're going to go, dodge that bullet, take your millions of dollars from Nickelodeon, and ride off into the sunset. So it is my theory that, at least in his head, or at least as far as you can interpret it, Dan believes he did nothing wrong. It doesn't mean he didn't do anything wrong. I think Dan believes he did nothing wrong. Either that or he's very stupid and he thinks he won't be caught. But I will say, if Dan is making a comeback now in this climate, this kind of Me Too climate, and he thinks that if he's done something inappropriate, it will not be called out, I think he would be a madman. I think if Dan did something, it's going to come out now. And now will be the time for it to come out. The spotlight is back on Dan. His old employees are already coming out saying he was verbally abusive. I hated working with him. He was mean. He was cruel. Okay? So now is the time. If anyone has any allegations about Dan Schneider, I implore you. Because if this man is a menace, he should not be working with anyone. And definitely not with kids. I mean, I don't know if his new show is going to involve child actors, but he shouldn't be working with them, and I hope you, if you have information, would come forward with it. But, and I must be clear, I can't bury the guy without firm evidence. I don't want you to come away from this video saying Vito told you definitively this man did anything, because for all we know, this could just be a guy who thought feet jokes are funny, and then a couple internet users out there decided, oh, it would be fun to go on a podcast and make up this story about Dan doing something to me. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I'm worried. I'm keeping an eye out. Let's put it that way. I don't like to bury people without evidence, but there are some very questionable stories that people should be aware of, and I really hope if the truth is out there that it comes out. We'll see. We'll see. Welcome back, Dan. Let's see how it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Subscribe, click the button. We got more cool videos coming soon. I won't keep you here, but do let me know in the comments, where are you at with the Dan thing? Do you believe pouring ketchup on a little girl's feet is it's weird. We gotta say it's weird. But kids probably think it's funny. Did it go over the line? Was it a sexual thing? Was Dan did he do something wrong? What do you think? What's your gut? What's your gut? That's the problem right now. I'm going on gut, and I'm like, oh, my gut don't feel good. Don't feel good. But I gotta be reasonable. I gotta wait for evidence. We'll see. Come on back anytime. Love you guys. Peace and love. Take care of yourself. No feet pictures. Don't send me. I don't want to see your feet. Thank you.